What do you envision for the future, for the role of industry in building meaningful engagement?
Well, thank you, Stuart. And yes, I have just over my 100 days under my belt. No reference to anyone else who also is reaching that milestone on Saturday, perhaps. If I might, Stuart, I thought just to add a couple of comments of my background. I noticed the bio that we provided really didn't include too much, and it is probably quite pivotal to the comments I'll make about my new organization. So Innovative Medicines Canada, for those of you who don't know, is previously known as RX&D. So it is the patented medicines companies of Canada. And as I say, I've been there just a couple of months now. But I do not come from the pharmaceutical industry or this industry. I come from health. My previous position was National CEO at the Canadian Cancer Society. Prior to that, CEO at the Canadian Healthcare Association, which is now merged with ACAO and is Healthcare Can and led by Bill Thole, who many of you know. Prior to that, CEO of Canadian Physiotherapy Association, Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse. I've also been very involved with CAMH, Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, chair of the board there and on the board for 10 years. I've worked twice at Health Canada and 10 years with the Canadian Forces in Europe. So I've had a privileged, diverse health sector background, but it doesn't really include this particular industry until recently. That being said, I would highlight that in most of my positions, in fact, every position, I've tried to create linkages, partnerships, engagement with industry. Recently at the Canadian Cancer Society, we entered into some extremely useful, meaningful partnerships with Merck, with Sanofi Pasteur. When I was with the Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse, we worked with the Brewers Association. It wasn't always a popular move, but I'm a strong believer that you can find common ground. You may not choose to work on policy and research issues together, but you can do other things. At CAMH, it was Eli Lilly, and on and on. So for me, it's been a basic part of my philosophy. I've also been involved in a number of collaboratives. You may be familiar with HEAL, the Health Action Lobby, which is a coalition of 30+ primarily health professional associations. The Canadian Coalition for Public Health in the 21st Century, the Health Charities Coalition of Canada. All of these require working together with diverse partners, but finding the common ground and the ability to move an agenda forward. So I'm a bit of an unknown commodity in this world, and I would say an unexpected choice to take on the role of president. In fact, one former colleague I hadn't seen in a few years let me know that the reaction to my appointment ranged somewhere from surprise to shock, although he said in a good way, which was a little reassuring. And I would like to think that for those of you in this room and people watching live streaming, that this is a real indication that the industry is looking at itself and wanting to do things differently. I do bring quite a different perspective to engagement and to business that you'll be seeing as we move forward. So my being here gives an opportunity to this organization, Innovative Medicines Canada, to refresh their relationships with stakeholders, look for new opportunities. I do believe that we've got a pretty good record in some of our stakeholder relationships, and I would say particularly with the patient groups that are so important to us. The pharmaceutical industry is involved in every step of the drug process. We're there at the beginning in terms of product development, clinical trials. We're there through regulatory processes and providing our input, and of course, delivery once the products are out on the market. And so, to not be fully engaged in any discussions and debates of issues of concern and with all of our stakeholders would really be a missed opportunity, I think, on behalf of the system. That being said, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that there is a reputational issue going on with this new industry that I've joined. And I would say that trust is at an all-time low. Not for everybody, but for many. And it's such an unfortunate thing. I have yet to meet anyone in my travels at any point in my life who can put up their hand and say, I've never benefited from a medicine, from a vaccine. And so the medicines, the vaccines, the products that this industry produces are so valuable to us. But I think that there's room for improvement in terms of our engagement with other players in the broader health system. We have a reputation that is perhaps seen as a bit arrogant and bullying at times, and certainly asking and demanding for things more than bringing solutions to the table. So that's what's going to change. I think in fairness to us in Canada, the reputation is not completely earned here. And I think folks in this room will know more than many audiences that when you have a story in the press that talks about a company raising the price of EpiPens by 600%, the general public does not distinguish between that happening in the US and in Canada, where it simply could not happen. But that's our little cross to bear. We're going to deal with it, and you'll see changes in us through our actions. So my vision, and the board of directors, the membership, they hired me with their eyes wide open. I believe that a changed tone is in order, that there's an openness to dialogue, and really to recreate a narrative with our stakeholders in a different way. Part of what inspires me about this new position, this new role, is the people that I have met in the industry that I'd not intersected with before. And we all understand it's a for-profit industry, and the bottom line does have to drive a lot of their actions. But there's not a single person I haven't met who doesn't have immense pride and passion in what they deliver to the health system, and they want to do more. They want to be part of the problem solving. So the future for me is all about seeing where this new narrative will tell us. We've been hard at work in the couple of months I've been there in identifying very concretely what are the things that this industry, this association can bring to our discussions moving forward that would be different. What are the gives, the offers, beyond the asks and the demands that we might be better known for? And so that's really the role that I hope to play going forward. Thank you.